Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. This show is about one thing and one thing only, turning your gym into a thriving business you love to own. So if you want to know what it really takes to grow your membership, make more money, and build a rock-solid community of raving fans, you've come to the right place. All this information is 100% free, so please subscribe to and review our podcast. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. I am your host, Marcus Gurzy, and today, Emily and I are going to take you through how to successfully run a nutrition challenge, all the do's and don'ts, as well as how it can be used to even maybe get your nutrition program off the ground or to revitalize it if you've got one already. Emily, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. In case you guys hear any crazy background noises here on my end today, we've got some construction happening outside of my office today, which has been leading to some pretty surprisingly loud sounds that rattle the whole room. So in case you hear that, that's all that's going on. Awesome. All right.
Good
So
deal.
What's that?
I said good deal.
Good deal indeed. Awesome. All right. Emily, kick it off.
All right. So we're talking about nutrition challenges today. So Marcus, I want to know, what is a piece of nutrition advice that you personally have changed your mind on?
Well, for one, I used to be a total Nazi around the simple carbohydrates that I would take in throughout the day. I was taught this is based on a lot of older information, but when I really started to kind of frame up my approach to nutrition, I basically eradicated all rice, bread, everything completely. It was just meat, vegetables, fruit. And although that definitely did a lot of positive things, because it definitely helped me get rid of a lot of the junk that I was eating, which growing up in an Austrian household, we eat bread 9,000 to 10,000 times a day. And so it was just a part of every meal. And, I definitely took that down a bit, but I noticed in the recent years as I reintroduced a little bit back into my diet, particularly different rices and whatnot, that actually helped with my energy and my overall cognitive clarity tremendously. And so now, having reinfused some of that back in, I feel a lot better.
Yeah, good.
What about you?
For me, I used to subscribe to the idea that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Mm-hmm. Now, I think ultimately it depends on the person. So I'm not one blanket statement, you should be eating breakfast or you should be intermittent fasting. But for me, intermittent fasting works really well. So that's something that I've changed my mind on. Yeah,
same here. That was a huge adjustment for me. Actually just started doing that kind of by accident, actually, in the last couple of years, and have felt fantastic. So just by moving everything later in the day or compressing it down between basically lunch and dinner, it made a big difference for me too. Awesome. All right. So today we're getting into nutrition challenges, and really what we're getting into here specifically, I think the problem is that despite all the let's say mixed opinions that a lot of different gym owners will have about nutrition challenges and why, I don't want to give people Band-Aids. I want to actually fix the problem, and one-on-one's better. I totally agree. However, that nutrition challenge, I think, can play a really valuable role in introducing nutrition to a lot of people and helping you launch programs. And I don't think they're all bad. I think there's a lot of good that we can get from doing them when they are done right. Not to mention all the community that it fosters as well. So we're going to be getting into that here today and showing you how to take full advantage of this opportunity and not miss out like we see a lot of people do.
Yeah, I love it. I have been running nutrition challenges for a lot of years. That was actually the first thing that I started doing at Rue. When we opened our gym, we realized that nutrition needed to be a component. And people were coming to us to get results. And without the nutrition piece, they're probably not going to see ultimately the results that they want to see. So I was working in my corporate job, and I was in charge of running these virtual nutrition challenges. That was my role before I quit my job and came on full time. Yeah. So I have been running nutrition challenges for the past 7 years since we opened. The challenges have gone through a lot of iterations over the years. I've definitely streamlined the process over the years. But you're right. I think that it is a great way to kind of tee up your premium program. If you offer one-on-one nutrition coaching, that's great. This is a good way to introduce that and to set yourself up as the subject matter expert and kind of pitch, hey, if you want to go even further with this, then I do offer one-on-one nutrition coaching too.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people, when you first introduce nutrition, especially, let's just say for the majority of the gyms listening to this today, the majority of the clients that you deal with are not typically advanced athletes showing up at your doorstep that already understand the value of nutrition and how to do it correctly, and they're just looking to do it better. Most people that we deal with are regular people who've really never had any good guidance around nutrition. They're showing up with a lifetime of misinformation and having been marketed to from the food companies, through our school systems and everything, a completely tweaked perspective on how this all even works, right? So they show up on our doorstep saying, hey, I need to lose weight, I want to feel better, et cetera, et cetera. And the program is one piece, but I know that nutrition is a factor, at least to some degree. And it's, I think, our obligation as a gym to at very least give them some direction. So even if you're a gym that says, hey, look, I don't want to do nutrition coaching, I do something else for my premium program, or it's not my expertise or my passion, that's totally fine. You don't have to offer nutrition coaching. Now, personally, I think it is the logical upsell in most environments, but it's okay not to do that. But you still need to provide something. And there's a variety of different ways you can do that. You can put together PDFs and give them some guidance during their onboarding, which is a great way to start. But I think that most people need some hand-holding, especially the first time. And that's why I think nutrition challenges play such a powerful role in the micro gym model, because it's an opportunity for you to get people in the room together to get into the virtual room together of this community and say, hey, look, we're all going to do this together. We're going to help each other. We're going to support each other. We're going to make this fun by kind of gamifying it oftentimes and helping people get that first run at making changes with their diet. Are you expecting to change their life forever with one nutrition challenge? Probably not. You may get a couple steps in the right direction. You're going to get them to have some aha moments and realize that they can do this, and maybe this wasn't so difficult or that, and that they feel better. And like you said, it can lead to more, but at very least, it's a great way to lay the foundation, get people started, and to open the conversation around what it really takes to get the most out of your training program.
Mm-hmm. It's a great way to have a boost to your revenue as well.
Absolutely.
You definitely should be charging for these things. So yeah, it's a great way to increase revenue several times a year as well.
Yeah, we have a client in Arizona who they just ran a challenge again, and I want to say that they bring in roughly about, I think it was like $8,000 to $10,000 in revenue each time that they do a challenge. And yep. I mean, and that's every time, right? So it's definitely worth the effort as on your part as a business owner, right? So it doesn't take that much in order for this to be a pretty profitable experience for you. Again, let alone all the immense value that it provides to the people going through the program when you do a good job. So yeah, so the reasons we're bringing this up here again is because we get questions about this all the time. So many people are rolling out nutrition programs. How do I introduce it? Or, hey, I tried it, it didn't go too well. How do I reintroduce it, relaunch it, and so on? So we're going to go through this process. And Emily, since you are the nutrition challenge master between the two of us, I'm going to let you kind of guide this a little bit. So where do you want to start with explaining this?
I start with kind of the planning phase, and I outline what and when. So I'm deciding, when is the challenge start and end date? Is this a 4-week challenge? Is this a 6-week challenge, or some version of that? Then I work backwards and I determine what my launch period is going to be. And usually I plan for the launch period to be about 3 weeks prior to the beginning of the challenge. Mm-hmm. And then before the launch period, I decide when my sales event is going to be. So I have a sales event, then a launch period, then the challenge start and end date. I like to kind of work around big holidays. So I'm not going to do a challenge over Mardi Gras in New Orleans, just because people like to eat their king cake and whatnot. So anyway, look at your dates, look at your calendar, plan out a time that really makes sense. So I'm a big fan of doing a seminar as a sales event. And if you missed episode 7 of the JIP Breakthrough podcast, definitely check that out on how to run and organize a really good seminar. And then I decide, okay, what are the parameters of the challenge? What are the rules going to be? A lot of times I will kind of reinvent things, or I'll look at something that I've done before and just say, okay, how can I make this a little bit better? So taking kind of an evergreen version and just, okay, how can I make this better from the feedback that I received before? So what are the parameters of the challenge? And then what is each challenger going to receive? Okay, so some examples. If you have a body composition scanner, like an InBody or some version of that, they can receive before and after scans. They can receive access to an accountability group. I recommend doing like a private Facebook group for sure. Access to whatever tool that you're using, if applicable. So I know that there are several like technologies that you can take advantage to make sure that you are giving challenge information in a streamlined way. Ability to win cash or prizes. So that would be something that a challenger would receive. And then any guides you've created. So I know that I have created like a grocery store guide. I've created a guide that's like green light foods, yellow light foods, red light foods. I have provided recipe guides for people. So kind of whatever you want to create, but mention that they'll be receiving this as part of getting access to the challenge.
Awesome.
Any questions before I move on?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask about the dates in particular. So you said working around the holidays, right? Are there any particular like sweet spots that you've identified throughout the year that you think could apply to most people?
I mean, again, I think this depends on your local area. New Orleans has a very unique problem in that way, is I feel like we've got like a holiday or a festival every week. So I have to work around Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest and whatnot. But I think that first of all, I think doing a challenge quarterly is a really good idea. So I kind of look at the quarter and try to fit in the best timing around that. And sometimes I make the length of the challenge dependent upon what's coming up. So, maybe if I've got Mardi Gras earlier in the year, I'll make it the January challenge just a 4-week challenge instead of a 6-week challenge. So kind of look at your calendar, break it out into quarters, and pick the dates of when it would work best.
Got it. Okay, so you're running them quarterly. And so what do you have a frequency or a duration that you usually will go to? Is 6 weeks kind of the sweet spot for you? And have you dabbled with different durations and reasons why you like or dislike different ones?
Yeah, I think 6 weeks is a really good sweet spot. It's short enough to where people are engaged for the whole time. And it's long enough to where people can see some meaningful results, and you'll get some good testimonials and good kind of before and afters as well. So yeah, I found that this 8 weeks can, even though it can get you more dramatic results for people, it tends to be just a little too long for people, because I think that 6 weeks, people really, once you kind of pass that 4-week mark, people start to struggle a bit, and that's where you have to really dig in and get them over that last 2-week hump. But when it's another 4 weeks, you can really see drop off. I know that's what I experienced at my gym. We experimented with 4-week, 6-week, and 8-week, and 6-week tended to be the sweet spot for us as well. Yeah, I agree. I think with one-on-one nutrition coaching, requiring no less than a 3-month commitment is smart. But again, you have that one-on-one accountability that you don't really have in a group setting. But I can share some ideas on ways to increase the engagement and the participation so people are staying engaged the entire 6 weeks. So I have some ideas there too.
Love that. Can't wait. All right, so what's next?
Okay, so other things to decide kind of in this planning mode is, will there be a winner, and what will the winner receive? And how will the winner be determined? Is it based on just participation alone, whether or not they're checking in every day, or whatever, however you plan on organizing this? Or will the winner be determined by the results that they obtain, right? I've seen it both ways. Okay, so after I I kind of decide all of those details, then I'm able to create a sales page. Okay, so I include all of those kind of nitty-gritty details on my sales page. And then I reach out to brands to see if they'll sponsor prizes, so I'm not having to come out of pocket with those things. And you'd be surprised at what brands will give you if you just ask. And then I create all the promotional assets. So any blog posts, any social media posts, any physical posters that I'm putting up in the gym, those are kind of the things that I think about all in the planning phase.
Love it. Okay. So on the topic of winning, of creating winners in this, I think there's several different opinions on this. And, it could be, well, I don't want to discourage people. It's not just about, who had the most dramatic results. It's about the participation. Do you have any preferences on that based on your experience?
Yep, I've done it both ways. I used to pick a winner based on the results that they achieved. So the person that lost the most weight and increased their mile time by the most amount. And there was this like crazy formula that I applied to figure out who did the best overall. Mm-hmm. Now I pick a winner. It's all in a drawing. And it's basically, if you have checked in 80% or more throughout the challenge, then you're entered into a drawing to be the winner. So I am a bigger fan of making it participation based than results based, because you can control your participation, right?
Awesome. Yeah, I've got, you might get into this a little bit later, but one of the things I heard was setting up weekly themes and like a weekly challenge, So where it's like each week, here's a challenge for you to do that gets you extra points towards being able to win.
I'm getting it, Marcus.
Okay, I'll back off. All right. Yeah. So, okay. And then let me see here. And the other question, promotional assets. Are you going to break down a little bit more as to like what you've seen work better to help people like promote these things? I know that's always a big question for people. It's like, well, how do I get the highest attendance rate for this workshop, right? Or the seminar that you're doing, which is really your sales event to kick off the program, or at least on the model that we're describing today. Are you going to get into that more, or can we unpack that now?
Well, I think that you kind of have to think about it in two phases. You have to first promote the sales event, and then after the sales event happens, you're promoting actually signing up for the challenge. So I think that, whatever you have the capacity to do it. If you're doing a podcast or Facebook Lives for your kind of featured content at your gym, then do that. Make announcements before every class leading up to it. Create social media posts, posts on your personal Facebook account or social media accounts. Make your stories for your gym include stuff about the challenge. Kind of create your whole marketing message during this time should be geared towards nutrition, or in large part.
Love it. Yep, I agree 100%. All right, so now that we've figured out, what are we doing for the winners or the prizes, and you've created the sales page, you've contacted some brands, you have your promotional assets lined up, what's next?
The other kind of just pro tip that I'll throw in there is I always encourage my coaches to do the challenge for free. They are the leaders of your gym. And number one, I think it's a good way to make sure that they are aware of what you're recommending to members, and also, making them contribute to like the engagement in the Facebook group. They will connect to your members in a whole different way as well. So I really encourage you to get your whole team involved, and at no cost to them, like add them to the group, have them participate.
Do you require it of them?
I don't require it, but I strongly encourage it.
Well said. Yeah, I don't know if you can legally require it, but we're going to have a backroom conversation where I'm going to really encourage you to do this.
I'm going to really encourage you.
Because otherwise, I don't know, maybe your coaching slots they're just going to open up for someone else to take them, and it's going to be rough, buddy. No, I agree, because I think it's so important to have them participate. I mean, what's worse than someone like, oh, coach, are you gonna do it? No, I don't do challenges anymore. I don't do that. It's like, what? You just totally devalued the whole thing and made it uncool. You're too cool for school now, and that does not bode well in the people signing up for this thing and people believing in that, you as a team are a united front. I think that it's imperative that you get as many of, if not all of, your staff to participate so that you can make sure that you are helping pull people in, because different people will follow different coaches a little bit more so. And like you said, in getting the support and participation within that group, that makes a big difference, because otherwise it's all on you. And that's not going to help, right? You want them talking about it in the classes, and here's how I'm feeling. How are you doing? Like they're a part of the game that everyone's talking about.
100%.
Beautiful. All right. What's next?
All right. So what's next is how to increase engagement within your challenge. So this is it touches on what you mentioned before with having kind of like weekly themes. So I have done this with great success, having like weekly mini challenges or weekly themes. And some ideas around this are, I would like find a podcast that I really liked and post it in the group and say, listen to the podcast, comment underneath the podcast or this post with something that you learned, like some kind of takeaway that you took from listening to this. And if you do that, you can earn 5 extra bonus points. You would be amazed at what people will do for bonus points.
People love bonus points.
Yeah. So that really works really well. Other ideas are like the weekly theme can be, have 10,000 steps a day for this whole week. People have a pedometer like on their cell phone, so that's a really easy thing to do. You can have them post a photo of a meal in the comments. 1 post per day for the whole week. If you do it, 5 extra bonus points. Mm-hmm. You can have them share a favorite recipe. So again, this is just ways to keep them engaged in the group and excited about participating. Another thing that I've done that works really well is paired people up in the group with an accountability buddy. Mm-hmm. And so what I've done before is, there will be a single winner. So if your accountability buddy is terrible, it doesn't necessarily make it so you can't win. But there will also be a team prize. So that's a good way to keep people engaged. And I've had them like create fun like team hashtags and whatever, like be creative, think out of the box.
For sure. The more fun, the better.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. Awesome. Now what?
After that, once the challenge ends, I think it is really important to ask for feedback. So I create a survey for each of my challenges, and I ask them like, did you get the results that you were after? Like, what was your experience? What could have made it better? I always ask for feedback. And again, I look at that feedback when I'm creating the guidelines for the next challenge and say like, okay, how can I make this one a little bit better? So definitely ask for feedback in the form of a survey, and then make sure that you're getting testimonials. So for instance, when people come in for their kind of post-challenge assessment, I have an InBody machine, so they get a challenge, like a post-challenge scan. And I will have a chalkboard there and ready. So after they get done with their scan, I can write the results that they got in the 6-week challenge, take their picture with the chalkboard, and then I can use all of those as assets for my next challenge as well as kind of my post-challenge recap. I put it in the newsletter, look at all these fun, awesome results that people achieved from our challenge. So that gets people getting FOMO. Oh, I should have participated. I'm definitely in for the next one. So that's the idea there.
Love that. Yeah, testimonials are key. I mean, they're great marketing assets, not just for your future nutrition challenges, but I think just to put on your website, right? Yeah. Just to showcase people getting great results with your program, whether it's through a nutrition challenge or not, doesn't matter. It's still a great testimonial of someone doing something that most of your new members want.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Awesome. Any other advice and tips around how to make these things amazing?
Well, I'll just kind of give you a broad overview of my journey with this. The first time I ran a challenge, I had 6 people participate. It was very low tech. I just got started. I, just posted rules in a Facebook group. I didn't have any sort of like technology help or anything. I didn't even create a sales page. It was just something we kind of announced at the gym, right? The trick is getting those first participants results, and that will 10x how many people will participate in your next challenge, right? So I started with groups of 6. I started very low tech. I am now creating like digital sales pages. I have technology to help me roll this thing out. And I have managed challenge groups of over 100 people. So I guess the point is it sounded like a lot of steps to execute a really quality nutrition challenge. Don't let your idea of perfection get in the way of just starting, making progress, trying to help people. If you're approaching this with a helping first mentality, then people will get results. And yeah, just get started if you've never done it before.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And just for perspective, so you started out really small with these things. And how many people did you have in your last challenge?
I'm actually in the last week of a nutrition challenge at the moment, and my group has 72 people in it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I imagine that's a lot of fun, and wasn't too shabby on the bottom line either.
Yeah, no, yeah. I charge anywhere between like 60 and $100 for these things. So yeah, it's a great boost to our revenue.
Awesome. Very good. Emily, thank you for sharing all your wisdom with us today. And for those of you who are watching this or listening to this, check out, definitely let us know in the comments in the private Facebook group, any ideas or either any distinctions that you got from what you learned today, or if you have anything that you're doing that's interesting that you'd like to share. It helps us all get better. So we'd love to see it. So that's it for today. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. We hope this episode was helpful for you. And if you're interested in learning more about how we can help you with your gym, check out gymbreakthrough.com/apply, where you can schedule a free breakthrough session with myself. We'll get to know you. We'll see where you're at, and we'll see how we can help. That's it for today. We'll see you again soon. Until then, bye-bye.